SCP-466 Cover Page Special Containment Procedures Revision Report Draft Proposal. The purpose of this proposal is to review the original procedures for the entity and decide if there is a need for more applicable containment solutions. Also attached is the recent incident regarding the need of this review, a revised copy of the procedures to supersede the original procedures, and any other documentation to support this change in protocol. Below are the electronic signatures of staff committees that are required for these revisions to be enacted. All but listed are from Site 45. Site Superintendent, pending. Medical Director, approved. Containment Director, approved. Senior Director, approved. Senior Physician, approved. Senior Containment Engineer, approved. Ethics Committee Review Board, conditional. Awaiting further data on SCP-466 threat level. Revised special containment procedures may be enacted in the meantime due to time constraints. See Memorandum 466-72 for additional details. Original. Note: the following document is no longer applicable and will hence be stricken from the main database. It will be archived and referenced for record-keeping purposes only. Some details may be redacted from this document as the new protocols dictate. Item number SCP-466, Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-466 is locked in a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter room. SCP-466 is to be fed 5 times a day through a one-way slot in the steel door, with low iron meals of mass below 0.1 kilograms. The key to the door is accessible only to 3 or higher persons. Description: it is unknown if SCP-466 is a separate pathogen affecting a human host or the human host itself. Current theory suggests the former. For clarity, the host individual will be referred to as SCP-466-2, and the possible infective agent as SCP-466-1. SCP-466-2 is a SCP-466-2 exhibits anomalous vascular hypertrophy, particularly along the skin. This includes very broad arteries and veins not part of normal human anatomy. The continually increasing mass of blood vessels is gradually displacing and eroding -2's muscles and organs. -2 is estimated to have approximately liters of blood. The excess vessels will sometimes rearrange under the skin, which is extremely painful. If the host or hypothesized pathogen is threatened, the excess vessels will physically tear the skin and extend up to meters outward. These defensive vessels will constrict threats until neutralized. If cut, they hemorrhage as expected and will be replaced by more vessels from deeper inside -2's body. As demonstrated by the rearrangements, -1 displays some degree of control over the mobile vessels when inside the body. This control is utilized when -2 consumes food. If -2 does not consume the entire meal, -1 will use the collective strength of the mobile vessels and force -2. This is advantageous for -1. It appears that nutrients go primarily to expansion of the mobile vessels. Incident 466-080214. Incident Report Form. Incident Date: August 2nd, 2014. Incident Time: 1325. Site: Location: Research Site 45 Secured Medical Unit. Unique Identifier: Autofill 466-080214. Civilians involved: yes or no? No. Number of witnesses: 0. Injuries, deaths: 0. Amnestics used: not applicable. Personnel involved: yes, no, yes. Number of personnel involved: 6. Injuries, deaths: 2 minor injuries, 1 major injury, 3 deaths. SCP involved? Yes, no, yes. Designation SCP-466. Containment breached? Yes, no, no. Details. SCP-466 and patient have begun to show abnormal behavior as extremities, excluding the head, began suffering from avascular necrosis over a 48-hour period. Afterwards, SCP-466 was observed to go into a state of acute cardiac arrest. Level 3 authorization was granted for a rapid response medical team to assist in the revival of the patient while observing the standard protocols of extrinsic biological hazards. SCP-466 and patient were pronounced dead after 30 minutes of continuous resuscitation. SCP-466 and patient were left in the containment cell for another 48 hours of observation with no activity reported. Level 3 authorization was then given to perform an autopsy on the deceased body. Upon opening the chest cavity, it was observed by medical staff that all arteries and veins had extracted from the external limbs and were clustered around the heart. Though the body was in a normal state of expected decay, the cardiovascular system seemed to show no signs of decomposition. During the autopsy, SCP-466 and the patient became active again and killed the 2 closest medical staff, Doctors Gerard and Sharma. SCP-466 was observed appropriating the circulatory systems from the deceased into itself while also attempting to sever the head of the patient with a surgical bone saw. The patient's head was seen, which prompted Dr. Briggs to attempt a rescue of the patient from SCP-466. Dr. Briggs was subsequently killed, however the distraction was timely enough to allow security teams to arrive on scene before the decapitation could take place. SCP-466 was eventually contained and the patient secured. 3 medical and security staff were treated with minor injuries, 2 fractures, and 3 lacerations. 1 security officer had to be surgically treated for a punctured lung and heart. Action items. Review procedures regarding SCP-466. Current procedures may not apply. Revision. Note: the following document has been authorized for immediate use. Additional details and/or procedures may follow before finalization is completed. Item number SCP-466. Object Class Euclid, pending possible reclassification after formal review. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-466 is to be sealed in Containment Cell 73 in E-Block at Research Site 45. E-Block is to remain separated from the main installation for the entirety of SCP-466's captivity. Containment Cell 73 is to have a 30-centimeter thick acrylic observational window installed and the door welded shut from the outside. SCP-466's primary containment component, or its head, and the primary heart connected to the brain stem are to be locked together in a perforated stainless steel lockbox at all times. The head is to be considered a vital component of containment. Efforts must be made to ensure that SCP-466 does not put it in jeopardy and it remains connected at all times. 4 liters of a nutrient-rich water solution is to be sprayed into the containment tank every 10 hours. The nutrient solution will be adjusted and administered by medical staff. An oxygen-rich atmosphere, 25% O2, will be maintained in the cell at all times. In the event of a containment breach, SCP-466 is to be suppressed with gas-based flame weaponry. Description: SCP-466 is an amorphous and animate configuration of 4 human cardiovascular systems. The primary heart of SCP-466 is still attached to the original brainstem and thus still preserves its head. The other 3 were absorbed during a separate incident post-acquisition and serve no purpose other than additional extensions of the whole. All 4 hearts of SCP-466 have increased in size by 275% and are observed to beat in synchronization at 130 BPM. SCP-466 is considered to be sentient as it responds to stimuli and pain in appropriate manners. The veins and arteries of SCP-466 are able to move as their smooth muscle tissue, the tissue between the intima and adventitia, has developed into tissue resembling skeletal muscle. The ends of each appendage is also tipped with a sharp, calcified barb. SCP-466 is observed to be dexterous and extremely mobile, and can even remain on vertical surfaces or ceilings for long periods of time. SCP-466 is capable of producing erythrocytes, monocytes, and thrombocytes. It is unknown where the hematopoietic progenitor cells are located, as no bone marrow has been discovered. SCP-466 is not capable of angiogenesis and is dependent on appropriating other human cardiovascular systems in order to increase its mass. SCP-466 can, however, heal itself at an accelerated rate. SCP-466 is able to oxygenate without the use of lungs. It is theorized to extract oxygen and nutrients from the surrounding air. The primary heart still remains connected to the original brainstem, though it has attempted several times to be physically separated from itself, including hitting it hard against surfaces or attempting to rip it off. The behavior of this is not fully understood, but it is theorized that separating the head from SCP-466 would trigger another step in its ongoing development. SCP-466 has remained in an agitated state since the development of the perforated lockbox placed around its head and primary heart. Small amounts of water have been observed to drain from the perforated lockbox, though this is merely from condensation and should be ignored. Due to phenotypical similarities to SCP-1429-005, genetic material was compared between the two specimens and found to have multiple orthologous sequences, possibly indicating common ancestry. Footnotes 1. The purpose of placing them together in a lockbox is to ensure that collateral is held against SCP-466 as to persuade it to not damage the head. Memorandum 466-72. Sent August 12, 2014, 2136, to Dr. Frederick Carlisle, Superintendent of Research Site 45. From Ethics Committee Review Board Secretary. In light of the situation regarding SCP-466, whereas the current containment procedures no longer apply to its current condition and thereby necessitate the review and development of more applicable procedures and containment protocols, the following draft has been proposed. However, the patient associated with SCP-466 does invoke the authority of the Ethics Committee, as dealing with the well-being and moral decision of what is to be done in regards to both patient and entity. It is unfortunate that there is no ideal solution in separating both, and that there is no sustainable solution in both preserving or improving the quality of life of the patient without putting a substantial amount of risk on additional staff. It is not an easy decision and will not be the first nor last time such a ruling is made. Thus, after careful deliberation, this committee is tasked with making those difficult decisions on behalf of the Foundation and has decided the following measures. 1. That the patient be considered as lost collateral. Mental health considerations need not apply. 2. That this lost collateral is considered a deterrent to SCP-466's development and hence be considered a primary component in aiding containment. 3. That said primary component be maintained and kept in a reasonable functioning state. 4. That all identity and details regarding the primary component be expunged from all records. 5. That staff who are tasked with handling SCP-466 be screened for specific moral objections that may conflict with containment protocols. With these measures in place, the Ethics Committee Review Board grants a conditional approval to the following procedures and that they may be enacted immediately as such. If you have further questions or concerns, please contact us. Sincerely, Ethics Committee Review Board Secretary.